The world is undergoing significant geopolitical changes associated with the trend of de-dollarization of the world economy. More and more countries and regional groupings are seeking to reduce their dependence on the US dollar in international trade and finance. This strategy is aimed at reducing geopolitical risks, strengthening economic sovereignty, and stimulating local economies through the increased use of national currencies. One of the key players in this process is Russia, which has significantly increased its use of the Chinese yuan in trade settlements and investments. This was due to Western sanctions imposed after Russia's conflict with Ukraine, which restricted Russia's access to the dollar and other Western currencies. As a result, more than 80% of trade between Russia and China is now conducted in rubles and yuan. Russia also uses the yuan for various international transactions and trades with India in rupees. Similarly, China and Russia have significantly increased the share of mutual trade conducted in national currencies. In 2022, bilateral trade between the two reached a record $190.27 billion, up 29.3% from the previous year. By mid-2023, more than 80% of settlements between Russia and China were conducted in their local currencies. This significant move towards de-dollarization reflects both countries' desire to reduce the risks and costs associated with the use of the US dollar and euro. Brazil is also seeking to reduce its dependence on the US dollar and strengthen financial cooperation with China. The two countries have signed agreements to settle in yuan, part of a broader strategy to diversify the use of currencies. Brazilian President Lula da Silva is a proponent of the idea of BRICS countries conducting trade in their own currencies, emphasizing the need for financial independence from the US dollar. India is also taking steps to encourage the use of local currencies and reduce dependence on the dollar. Agreements with the UAE that trade payments in rupees are part of these efforts. India also trades with Russia in rupees, reflecting a strategic shift towards the use of local currencies in international transactions. BRICS countries such as South Africa and other members are also actively engaged in efforts to reduce dependence on the dollar. South Africa has a RMB-based trade agreement with China that promotes trade in RMB and supports the BRICS strategy of promoting the use of local currencies in international trade. Egypt is also working to diversify its sources of borrowing and reduce its reliance on the dollar. The country has issued 3.5 billion yuan worth of panda bonds and uses the yuan for some trade settlements. The move is part of a broader strategy to strengthen financial cooperation with China and reduce exposure to dollar fluctuations. The United Arab Emirates has also strengthened its financial and trade ties with China by signing agreements to settle trade payments in yuan, including energy transactions. This is in line with the UAE's strategy to diversify its use of currencies and reduce its reliance on the US dollar. Saudi Arabia is also exploring alternatives to the dollar for oil sales and other trade transactions. The discussion and conclusion of agreements to use the yuan for some trade settlements reflects this strategic shift toward diversifying the use of currencies in international transactions. Qatar is also strengthening its financial ties with China as evidenced by agreements to use the renminbi for trade. This move is part of a broader strategy to strengthen economic cooperation and reduce reliance on the dollar. Other countries such as Oman, Malaysia, Thailand, Kenya, Zambia, Bangladesh, and Indonesia are also actively engaging in de-dollarization, increasing the use of the RMB for trade settlements and strengthening economic cooperation with China. Even developed countries such as the UK, Germany, Canada, and Sweden are showing a significant increase in the use of RMB for financial transactions as part of their strategies to diversify currency transactions and strengthen economic ties with China. The drive towards de-dollarization is driven by several factors. First, the dominance of the US dollar in global finance exposes emerging markets to significant risks. Fluctuations in the dollar can lead to exchange rate volatility, limited credit availability, and reduced capital inflows, especially when the dollar strengthens. This can lead to increased economic instability, as was recently the case with the severe depreciation of currencies such as the Indian rupee and the Malaysian ringgit. In addition, the use of the US dollar for international transactions exposes countries to the risk of US sanctions, which are often used as foreign policy tools. This risk has been highlighted by the sanctions imposed on Russia following its invasion of Ukraine, prompting BRICS countries to seek ways to reduce their vulnerability to such political risks. Another motivating factor for de-dollarization is the financial burden associated with interest rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve. These increases have increased the cost of borrowing in dollars for developing countries, making borrowing more expensive and burdensome for their economies. As a result, borrowing in local or alternative currencies is becoming a more attractive option for economic stability. In response to these challenges, BRICS countries are increasingly using their local currencies for bilateral trade. For example, more than 80% of trade between Russia and China is now conducted in rubles and yuan. In addition, India and the UAE have signed agreements to settle trade payments in rupees. The expansion of BRICS to include new members such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Iran is expected to strengthen the alliance's de-dollarization efforts. These new members, especially oil-rich countries, could have a significant impact on global trade flows by trading oil and other commodities in non-dollar currencies. There are also discussions about creating a single BRICS currency. While this is seen as a long-term goal because of the need for substantial economic and institutional alignment, the immediate priority remains increasing the use of existing local currencies for trade and investment. Despite the challenges, the BRICS move toward de-dollarization reflects a strategic effort to strengthen economic sovereignty, reduce vulnerability to external shocks, and challenge the traditional dominance of the US dollar in global trade. This shift could lead to a more multipolar global financial system, stabilizing the economies of the BRICS countries and their partners. De-dollarization also offers new opportunities to strengthen regional integration and cooperation. The use of local currencies can facilitate closer trade and investment ties between countries, reducing the barriers and risks associated with the use of the US dollar. This can lead to a more balanced and sustainable global economic system. However, the process of de-dollarization is not without problems and challenges. There are concerns about the potential instability and volatility of currency markets caused by the diminished role of the dollar. In addition, institutional and infrastructural obstacles need to be overcome to facilitate the use of alternative currencies in international settlements. Nevertheless, the desire to diversify currency transactions and reduce dependence on the US dollar is becoming increasingly common in the global economy. Many countries are realizing the benefits of using local currencies for trade and financial transactions, including greater financial independence, economic sovereignty, and protection from external shocks. In conclusion, I would like to thank you for watching this video and wish you all the best. If you found this video useful and interesting, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support is very important to us and we appreciate each and every one of our viewers. I wish you success and prosperity. Thank you for your attention.